Hey guys, Eric Kaplan here, and I wanted to give you another free sample lesson from our Back to Basics program. And again, if you struggle with an insight takeaway, you don't know how to start your swing, this is the exact lesson you've been looking for, because we're going to be diving into the fundamentals developed by my dear friend and mentor, Allison TG, and we're going to talk about the 2-inch scapular glide. We're going to talk about the optimal way to start your golf swing, and in the advanced course, we're also going to talk about the differences between the 2-inch scapular glide as well as the max coil technique. You're not going to want to miss it. And again, if you like this video, don't forget to click the like button. And if you want to be notified every single time we release a new video lesson just like this, click the subscribe button. And if you do happen to have any questions or comments about the stuff we're talking about today, go and fill them in the comment section below, and I'll answer in the next 24 hours. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Hey everybody, welcome to day 3, where we're going to talk about rotation as well as talk about the optimal way to start your golf swing for consistent shots absolutely every time. But before we do, I got a number of emails from you guys asking me, Eric, why are you putting together this program for free? And I do want to answer it in just 1 minute, which is I want to share with you guys something that's a little bit personal, which is what got me involved in teaching golf to begin with. And so I started playing the game when I was about 5 years old after my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And so growing up, I met a lot of people on the golf course who had Parkinson's, and I became very passionate about helping those with PD on the golf course. So a lot of the stuff that I had seen growing up, my father working with several PTs, was my father had an issue with balance and walking. So I'm not sure if you know of anybody with Parkinson's, but again, that's really the reason why I'm offering this program for free, because I want you to share with them, if you know of anybody that does have PD, some of these techniques not just help on the golf course, perhaps improve their quality of life. So one of the issues that my father had was he'd go walk, all of his mass would lean forward, he'd have what's called a Parkinsonian shuffle step. He would fall forward on his face. What I saw with the PTs that he was working with is before taking a step, he'd grab his cane and kind of push him back over the ankles and then start to walk from there. So when we take a look at these gait patterns of how you're supposed to walk, you actually should walk heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. And so this whole conversation of getting the weight over the ankles was one of the things that for me was very impactful in seeing golfers with Parkinson's hinge back over their ankles as a means of staying in their posture better without falling forward. Now, it just so happens this is one of the first things I did with a guy like Bernhardt longer to improve his putting posture, as well as help him stay more balanced in his full swing. And so, again, the reason why I'm putting this program together for free is that you can learn this content and hopefully share it with anyone that you know that does have the disease, because my goal is to help as many people as I can. It's not about the money. It's more about creating a bigger reach to be able to improve the quality of life for people, both on as well as off the golf course. Now, another thing that you heard me talk about yesterday, which I do want to share the implications of, this whole concept of scapular engagement. Now, of course, Allison TG has been an incredible mentor for me in terms of understanding what exactly it means to get into the box. In other words, we want to keep our shoulders depressed and slightly retracted where we don't want them to protract forward, whereby if the shoulders are up and lifted, you're in what's called the rectangle, which would cause you to come over the top on the downswing. If we have a slight depression, we're engaging muscles in what she would call the box, which creates a more powerful rotation over the course of your downswing. And so what's intriguing for me is watching my father at the dining room table growing up. He had what some would call a pill rolling tremor. So I'm not sure if you know of anyone with Parkinson's that does have this symptom. What we end up seeing is that tremor will stop, they go to shake your hand. Now, the reason why, there was a very interesting paper that was written back in, I think, 2002, where all these doctors talked about the effect of motor patterns and how the activity of your hands can help override a resting tremor. What I saw with my father is even at the dining room table, when he would sit up straighter and get his shoulders back, the tremor would stop. And so I started applying the same technique to my students with Parkinson's, both on as well as off the golf course, seeing some absolutely unreal results in that for them, they take their shoulders and just pinch them back a little bit. It override that resting tremor. So one of the things we talked about in the advanced course yesterday is the difference between retraction versus depression. And in some parts of the game we went through this, you actually want to favor more of a position of retraction versus depression, which creates a little bit more power and distance as opposed to accuracy. So again, I just want to spend 2 minutes talking about why, for me, this is really a passion project to get the word out and get this information out, not just help you play better golf, even though I hope that is a symptom of all this, but helping the reach in terms of getting these important notes on balance, stability, to help those with Parkinson's. Because for me, a lot of the stuff that's extremely interesting is building these programs for people with PD just because not just golf is a wonderful social activity, but the process of repetitive motor function rebuilds neural pathways in the brain, helps improve gait patterns, override the gait disturbances that we see with PD, as well as the fact that exercise in and of itself increases what's known as the mitochondrial capacity. In other words, it can slow the progression of Parkinson's itself. So again, just getting somebody on the golf course, the same way they built programs around Tai Chi or boxing, golf is just another modality by which you can certainly help a group of people that presently do not have nearly enough resources and support. At least that's my opinion. So diving right in, I do want to share with you as a wonderful segue to what we're talking about today, which is what is rotation all about. And so the first gentleman that I taught that had Parkinson's is a guy named Leonard Redlich, and he gave me this book years ago. It's written by a guy named Alex Morrison, who's known as the founder of centripetal force in the golf swing. This is actually Jack Grout's coach, and Jack Grout, of course, was Jack Nicklaus's coach. And so a lot of the stuff he taught about, I want to share this with you, is he talks about the role of centripetal versus centrifugal force in the golf swing. So tomorrow we're going to talk about elevation, the role of centripetal force, but he talks about the fact that the golf swing, the correct swing, is made the correct swing conscious use is made of only one small group of muscles on the right side of the body. And so this very much sets the stage for the conversation of talking about the differences between a push and a pull over the course of the golf swing. So one of my dear friends and mentors, a woman named Allison T.G., she of course is the pioneer behind the anatomical absolutes in the golf swing. So a lot of the stuff that we talk about relate back to both the research of those with Parkinson's as well as the stuff that she has certainly pioneered in the industry. And so diving into it, we want to understand what would cause a sway in the golf swing. So a lot of us will begin our swing with what is known as a pushing action. So again, in Ode to Isaac Newton, all motion is a result of either a push or a pull. By definition, a push is a movement away from center, a pull is a movement towards center. So again, if you begin your golf swing with a push from your lead shoulder, you're oftentimes going to see movement of the head off the golf ball. Whereby if you see somebody with a very centered looking golf swing, the pull is going to come from the right side of the body. So we're going to discuss in a second exactly what's moving, but it's important to understand that, if somebody says I have a sway in my golf swing, I would say not exactly the case. You have a symptom of a pushing action as opposed to a pull. So diving in, what we talked about so far is we've gone through, yes, the swing fundamental pyramid, go and cue that up. We've gone through the layers so far of the primary tilt, the secondary tilt. What we're talking about now is rotation. And again, tomorrow we're going to talk about the pressure shift as well as in the advanced course, the max shift, which is based upon having proper stance width as well as having proper ball position, because for as long as your stance width is either too wide or too narrow, no proper pressure shift or even a max weight shift can occur. As well, if your ball position is too far back, it's only going to mitigate the efficacy of the shift. Now, if we take a look at rotation, of course, it is above scapular connection as well as neutral spine. So again, these are the pieces that allow us to create proper rotation in the golf swing, which is why this whole idea of neutral spine and depression of the scapula is a critical building block to be able to talk about rotation. That's why this program is very structured. And what I like to say is the right information, talking about rotation at the wrong time before talking about what would be scapular engagement and neutral spine is yet again the wrong information. So again, I want you to imagine for a moment, if I am playing a round of golf and I'm walking and I have my golf bag on a cart. If I were to attempt to push my bag down the fairway, if I don't exert a force exactly behind where I want the bag to go, it's going to zigzag every which way. If I go ahead, if I'm pulling a bag down the fairway, it's always going to follow me. So yet again, back to Ode to Isaac Newton, a push is always less efficient than a pull. So what I want you to do from home, I want you to put your arms across your chest, and I want you 10 times to feel that right shoulder move what feels like behind your head. This would be a pulling action. A push would be a movement from this side. So again, a lot of this conversation leads into the idea of what we need to do to start a golf swing. Because the takeaway itself is one of those conversations that you can ask the question to 10 pros and get 20 different answers regarding what's the optimal way to start your golf swing. So again, the one thing that I heard a lot growing up is you want to put the club in a certain position where the club is parallel to the ground, the toe is pointing in a certain way. Let's say toe up is what they would say and what I would hear. Now the problem with this, even though I do not disagree with this, is how do you put the club there? Because I can certainly get my hands and early set them. And again, the club looks like it's in a great spot, but yet again, the club is well behind my chest. So the club is actually well behind me. My hands have to do a lot of activity on the way through to square up the face. I can get here and I can hinge my elbows, well, roll my wrists. Club looks like it's in a great spot, but I have no width. The thing that we're going to talk about on day 5 is how you create a lot more power and width in the golf swing. For as long as the elbow hinges early, it's not going to happen. And so the optimal place to start your swing is not even coming from your shoulders, because the problem with the shoulders is they could lift a lot of different ways around the spine. So again, the secret engine that, of course, builds upon this whole idea of what Alex Morrison came up with and what I learned a lot from Alice and TG, of course, this whole idea of the origin of motion being the scapula itself. So again, the secret engine of the golf swing is actually coming not from the shoulder, but rather the shoulder blade. And again, we have options. What we're going to talk about in the advanced course, the advanced drill part today, is exactly the action of the forearms, how you can build more fast twitch activation over the course of your backswing, how it facilitates a better position at the top. But right now, we just want to talk about the origin of what actually has to move. And in the advanced, we're going to cover the drills by which the brain can actually acquire these motor patterns. So again, the analogy that I like to use, because I have the privilege to work with a lot of people who work on Wall Street, is this whole idea of return on investment. Because if I were to get here, I want you to go ahead and watch my right shoulder blade. If you do this pulling action, which is coming from the shoulder and the obliques, there's a secret way that we can bring it back, which is focusing more on the scapula, moving in this way. This would be considered the advanced move. The pulling of the shoulder would be considered more of the basic move, and both of which produce awesome results because it mitigates the movement of the head off the golf ball. So we're gonna do this 10 times, but I want you to see that the shoulder blade itself might only be moving a few inches, but the result of this is extremely impactful, considering that if I start the swing with that pull of the right shoulder blade or the right shoulder, even though the shoulder blade might have moved, that much, maybe 2 or 3 inches, as we would say, the right shoulder itself is going to be moving closer to 8 inches. So again, that action right here is going to create tremendous gains when it comes to the understand that the hands are now moving quite a bit further as a result of a very small move of the shoulder blade. Now, if I'm holding a golf club and I replicate that same movement pattern, the club is being put in a perfect position. And the nice thing about this, if my shoulders are slightly depressed and set up, and I begin the golf swing with that pulling action, there's only one way that club can move around my body. And so what we're going to talk about tomorrow is this whole understanding of what the lower body versus the upper body does in terms of, the idea of shifting our pressure as well as rotation. But we like to start off with the basic elements of rotation as a means of mitigating the sway of the upper body moving off the golf ball. Because this motion here also changes the secondary tilt of the spine, which very much will impact the angle of attack and your ability to hit shots on command. So again, what we're going to be doing in the advanced drill program is we're going to be talking about the drills by which we can acquire this movement pattern. The role of your arms in the backswing. Do they do anything, or are they dead or inactive, or are they passive? The role of the wrists in the backswing, as well as how you create a full coil. And this whole idea of creating torque in your backswing creates a lot of power, but it's called pelvic dissociation in terms of how much does the upper body need to rotate relative to the lower body. Because I'm not saying that your lower body should be stiff or as if you're in complete concrete. There should be some give there, but based on different flexibility levels and body types, there's different amounts of rotation in the lower body that we need over the course of our backswing. And of course, we're going to cover that in the advanced. But again, diving back into what got me involved in the game to begin with, if you're enjoying this course so far, by all means, share it with your friends. Again, it's a free course. If you want to jump into the advanced and get a little bit more out of it, that's completely fine. Advanced course, we cover, short game elements, mental game, workouts, all this stuff that I learned on tour with Bernhard and Miguel in terms of best course management strategies, all the ways in which we're going to increase the way that you score and golf your golf ball. But right now we're doing a little bit of playing golf swing in terms of understanding your common issues as well as how to solve them. Because for as long as your takeaway is inconsistent by means of having a lot of moving parts, your consistency is going to decrease the more moving parts you have. There's a philosophical principle called Occam's razor that says the more simple the answer, the more likely it is to be right. And that's where going back to this whole idea of scapular glide being an engine of the golf swing, or just pulling of the shoulder black coming from the obliques, creates a very centralized turn that creates a lot of torque, a lot of power, and a lot of consistency. And the way that Bernhard describes this, from his putting stroke all the way up through his driver, is if the first move back is his hands or his wrists or his forearms or his elbows or even his shoulders, that's considered the tail wagging the dog. If the shoulder blade works back first, that right there would be the dog wagging the tail, which again puts the club in a perfect position every time. So for those of us who struggle getting the club inside, we're gonna go through the drills in the advanced course by which we understand it might be the result of having too many things moving in the backswing that not only impact your tempo, but your ability to consistently deliver a square club face every time. So again, in the advanced drills, we're talking about what the forearms do, the drills associated, how much pelvic dissociation we have, but the basic understanding of we want to create a rotation of the upper body around a more stable lower body is a central theme, because for a lot of us, the rotation doesn't come from here, it comes from the lower body, which again, would certainly cause what we're talking about tomorrow in the pressure shift as well as the max shift that we talk about in the advanced tomorrow program. The action of the hip over rotating your backswing actually creates a reverse pivot. We load up on the left ball of foot. From here, you're gonna come up and out of your shot every time. So again, it's about building the understanding that we wanna rotate the right side on the way back. From Alex Morrison, Allison TG would say it comes from a scapula glide, both of which are great options. But the neat thing about this is whether hitting a chip, a pitch, a bunker shot, or a full swing, the origin of motion, the engine is coming from the same place. So again, can't wait to see in the advanced. And again, if you do want to share this program with your friends, I certainly appreciate it, because the goal is to get the word out to as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support, your belief in who I am and what I do. And I can't wait to be the guy that all your golfing buddies hate this season. See you in the advanced. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that lesson. It's one of the most simple yet profound pieces of instruction in golf, because this is the answer to the question how you start every golf swing from a putting stroke all the way through your driver. And again, this level of consistency and having the same thing move for every part of the game is what's going to make you a more consistent player. And again, if you like this lesson, don't forget to click the like button. And if you want to be notified every single time we release a new video lesson, go ahead and smash the subscribe button below. And if you do have any questions or comments about the stuff we talk about today, go ahead and fill them in the comments below, and I'll answer them in the next 24 hours. And if you did want to dive deeper with us in the advanced course, there's a link in the description below for you to get access to that. It includes lessons and drills from major champions, swing speed specialists on how to leverage your particular anatomy. You're going to learn more neuroplasticity drills to help you rewire your swing from home, and a whole bunch of more stuff that will absolutely blow your mind. Because again, my goal here at Access Golf is to create a platform for some of the greatest minds in golf instruction to come together and share their ideas with each other as well as with you.